What is a map? What is neutrality? The YouTube video of June 22 Insights into the Book of Mormon Internal Geography Map does not present a real map. The false map has no neutrality. Unlike the Book of Mormon, it is not based on reality. There is no person who has been trained in the rigor of map making who would ever consider such a presentation as having any correlation to the truth. Every good map is a miniaturized model of the real world that has actual geographic positions. The video takes the Book of Mormon out of the real world into the world of fantasy. The presentation tries to convince believers and non-believers that the Book of Mormon is a real history but its location is fiction. This fictional map has no connection to any place in the world. Is this the best that the scholars and instructors of the church can do? They offer fantasy as truth. This false map has no neutrality. Unlike the Book of Mormon, it is not based on reality. Let's return to the original account that an angel from on high gave to Joseph Smith. As a church, we can do much better than this. God is merciful but only for so long. As a church, we are under His condemnation. We must come back to the light and truth that He revealed to Joseph Smith. Bring the Book of Mormon back to its real setting in the real world. Take down the false and replace it with the truth. Let's now try to develop two thoughts. First, what is a map? Second, what is neutrality? Map-making is one of the great achievements of the civilized world. The making of maps allows for the discovery of new worlds. The age of discovery required the skills of great map makers. One of Germany's great map makers was Martin Woltze-Müller. In 1513 he made a map of the world that included the Western Hemisphere. He had never seen that part of the world, but he gave it a new name and called it America. Once the Americas found their place on the world map, then the business of map making exploded as thousands of captains and explorers wanted charts that would show them where they were in the world. A good map is valuable. A bad map is worse than trash. A good map will help you go where you need to go. A bad map will only take you further and further from where you want to go. The creation of a good map is at the heart of the civilized world. Today billions of people rely on directions that come from digital maps that are in smartphones and are connected to scores of orbiting satellites. Imagine how bad it is when we do not know where we are going and when the maps we are using are not connected to the real places in the world. Each map is only as good as its ability to describe the interrelationships of positions with respect to terrain, mountains, roads, cities, rivers, lakes, seas, and oceans. The utility of a map is in its ability to help us deal with real places. True maps must be connected to the truth as it is found on Earth. A fantasy map is good for a fictional story, but it will never bring anyone to a meaningful relationship with the real world. A true map will only gain more truth as it gets close to the real world. If we wish to discover the truth, we must have a true map. There is no way that a fantasy map will bring anyone to the truth. Such a fantasy will only lead to confusion and bewilderment. God has promised that in the latter days truth shall spring from the ground. The truth cannot spring from the ground if all we have is a false map. The second question is the geographical neutrality. The Church's stated position on the geography of the Book of Mormon is that the events the Book of Mormon described took place in the ancient Americas. The statement also says that the First Presidency and Quorum of the 12 Apostles urge leaders and members not to advocate those personal theories in any setting or manner that would imply either prophetic or church support for those theories. In concept, the position of neutrality seems clear. In practice, the resources of the church only favor either the Mesoamerican theory for the book's setting or the fantasy map that is found in the study materials that are used to instruct millions of members about the geography of the book. We can do better than this. Joseph Smith brought forth the Book of Mormon by the gift and power of God. The revelations that Joseph Smith gave to the church are clear. The fantasy map puts the church in a place where no truth can be found for the setting of the Book of Mormon. As a people, we remain under the very same condemnation that he pronounced upon the early members of our dispensation. We read in the Doctrine and Covenants, section 84:57, "And they shall remain under this condemnation until they repent and remember the new covenant, even the Book of Mormon." We can do better as a people. Let's take down the false map and look for truth in the ground to replace it with a true map. Let's start by looking for the location of the great city of Zarahemla on the west bank of the river Sidon. Such a city exists exactly where God revealed it to Joseph Smith. The tools of modern science will make it possible to scan thousands of acres of cornfields in Lee County, Iowa. Once we have discovered the thousands of ancient fires of Zarahemla, we will be able to enlarge our understanding of the geography of the Book of Mormon. We need your help to replace the false map with the true map. Go to www.zarahemla.site and make your donation.